Here is a interesting problem. The laptop, when it boots, it simply goes into this menu, hard drive not installed, and the user has not done any physical damage or anything to the computer, just turned it off one night, turn it back on next day, and the SSD is not detected. So I'll show you how you can troubleshoot where the problem is, whether it's your SSD or the laptop. You do need an adapter to connect your SSD to a USB port to see if it gets detected in another computer. So here I'll show you what I'm doing to try and diagnose the problem, and hopefully we can find the actual cause. So as you can see, in the system cannot detect the SSD. So it's good to do a visual inspection. Maybe the SSD has come out of its position. Maybe it's bent in a way, or maybe there is some burn on it, maybe damage. So you'll need to investigate it first. So have a look at it at physical level. So do an inspection first. And when you're working with the exposed motherboard like this, I do recommend disconnecting the battery at least so there is no power on the board. So in case if you accidentally touch capacitors or something else. So the SSD is there right under my hand on the right hand side, and right in the middle of the laptop. So we're gonna take it out and have a look at it. Now what I'd like to do is go into the BIOS first and see if it gets detected there at all. Maybe that hard drive not detected message means it couldn't find Windows, so we're not sure. Let's go into BIOS. So in this DELL variant, it's the F2 key. HPs are F9, F10, and most models are delete or F2. And Lenovo have a special recovery button. So here, normally at the bottom of this page, we should see the SSD being detected, and it says none. So definitely the SSD is not being detected. Okay, so let's look at this further. So this problem is not the laptop or the motherboard, most likely something to do with the SSD. So this is a Toshiba NVMe SSD, and I believe it's a 256 gig, and it looks pretty good condition. Visually, I cannot see anything wrong. One capacitor having a bit of mark, but I don't think that's related to it. Um, so let's have a look further. I've got a 256 gig SSD. It's a Samsung one from HP, and I know this is a new model, new version, and it's also NVMe. And let's see if it gets detected. If it does, then we have isolated the problem straight to the SSD. And when we go into system information, and as you can see, we can see the SSD being detected there. So this tells us our board is okay and something wrong with the SSD. We're going to use a USB to NVMe adapter, and I'm going to actually plug it into like a power source, like a USB power source, which can tell me any amps being pulled by the unit. Sometimes if there is a short or a damage on the SSD and it's maybe power related, if I can see the SSD pulling in amps more than it should, it's a sign telling me that yes, there's something not right with the SSD. So plugging it in, and all I'm getting is a 0 amps. It's not pulling any amps. So it's telling me this SSD is just not starting up. Even with the light on, still nothing. Nothing gets hot, it's nothing happening at all. So this SSD is just refusing to boot. Another thing to do is maybe run like in my case, I'm running a live Ubuntu, a Linux variant, and I'm going to plug in the USB adapter with the SSD in there, see if it gets detected at all. And now this laptop has both Type C and also a USB, and my adapter has both. So I'm going to try both just to make sure that adapter is not the issue here. So far, nothing worked. We got no result. And so last thing to do is let's have a look under a thermal cam, see if anything gets hot, and if it does, maybe we can go from there. Now this SSD, the first IC or major component is a controller. And then the remaining chips, the rear are the actual memory chips, NAND chips. So I want to see where the problem is. Now I've got a thermal camera. You probably may not have one, but if you get access to one, it will really help. So I'm going to plug this unit into a USB or to the computer. It's going to be cumbersome. I'm going to bring the thermal cam around and plug it in, and let's see if anywhere it does get hot. So I brought the laptop next to the thermal camera. It's a very awkward setup. So I'm going to plug it in. Oh, here we go. And you can immediately see the so there's if you like, there is two NAND chips on the top left, which is a memory, and then the another controller next to it, and that's the one that's getting hot, and it's maybe 1 or 2 pin. Maybe there's a short somewhere there, and this is under the chip, which I don't have access to, and I don't want to risk putting heat gun on it and bring to a melting point and hoping the joints will make connection again, because there is critical data on here. So we're going to leave it at that for this SSD, but you can see the potential problem why this SSD is not booting up. Hopefully you learned something, and if you have any questions, write in the comments. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to support this channel.